perfectly backwards. This is going to be a fun video for me to film for you guys because Easter is one of those, it's probably one of my favorite holidays. Number one, it's springtime generally, even though in Colorado it may very well be winter time. We may very well have snow. But Easter is definitely one of my favorite holidays, right up there with Christmas. And you know, for a long time when my older kids were little, we definitely celebrated Easter much differently than we do now. Since Taryn and Kyle, who are my teenagers, they are my 18-year-old and 16-year-old, since they were little, we have made a lot of changes in how we celebrate all holidays, but Easter probably is one of my favorites. I want to share with you some of the fun things we do to help celebrate Easter in a way that is meaningful and not just in the secular ways of celebrating the Easter bunny and Easter eggs and candy and all of that stuff. Like I said, for a long time, that is exactly how we celebrated Easter. That's how I grew up. I didn't grow up going to church, and my husband didn't grow up necessarily going to church very often either. And so the way we always celebrated Easter with our older kids was very much in the same way most people do. Easter egg hunts and fancy dinners and, well, I wouldn't say fancy, but definitely it was all around the food and the candy and the Easter eggs and the Easter bunny and cute dresses and all of that stuff. And I would say, so a little history, I didn't start going to church. I didn't become a believer until I was in my mid-20s. And of course that changes everything, right? And I remember those first couple of years Easter would come around, it just didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel right the way the traditions we had built. It just did not feel right. And it was, I think my bigger kids they were in elementary school. I want to say like second and fourth grade. No, they were maybe first and third grade. And a girlfriend of mine had talked about how she kept her kids out of school on Good Friday. And I thought, huh. And ever since that time, we have started building some really neat traditions that the kids just absolutely love. So I thought I would share them with you. So what we do is Good Friday is really our day that we focus on the true meaning of Easter, the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and the impact that has on our lives. So Good Friday is really our day that we do that, and that allows Easter Sunday. We go to church, and it's more just kind of the family times where grandparents come over for dinner, and we get to do Easter egg hunts and all of the fun stuff. So this isn't really an either or for us. It's not a choice on whether to celebrate Easter in the fun ways that are just kind of, the Easter eggs and things like that, but it's more of allowing ourselves to fully focus on the true meaning of Easter so that then we have prepared our hearts in a way that we can just keep our focus a little better. So I thought I would share these with you. The first thing that we did, I learned this, I used to teach at a Christian preschool back when Taryn and Kyle were in preschool, and I just love these. These are called resurrection eggs. They've been around my house for quite a while now. The top is broken. But if you haven't seen these before, I would really recommend you picking up a set. I'm sure if you go to a Christian bookstore online or anything like that, they are going to have them. It's definitely one of those things I look forward to having in my house for a very long time. Even when we have grandchildren, I look forward to these. But it is a set of Easter eggs. But in each one, I will just kind of share with you. Each one, there is some little trinket inside. This one is a donkey. I believe this is the first one where we talk about Jesus moving into Jerusalem on a donkey. And then so in each one, there's just little trinkets. My little boys are upstairs. Oh yeah, I'm recording a video. Maybe I should have you guys come down later and show everybody what's in these eggs. They love these. So in each one, there's just a little trinket that helps you walk through the story of Easter from the time that Jesus enters into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday and then all the way through. And so it's just in the last one, well, I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's a rock in here, and this is about rolling the large stone in front of the tomb and sealing it, praying hands for when Jesus was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. So anyways, there's a dozen eggs here. Here is the crown of thorns. So there's a dozen eggs here, and each one holds a different trinket and helps the kids learn about the story of Easter. And in the lid, it tells you the order of them and where they go so that if you're like me, my kids still, even though my younger ones are 11 and 12, they still get into these and sometimes they get mixed up. But I love that it's something that kids can totally play with, get their hands on. It really helps them when they're little learn the entire story. So when they were little, Bradley especially, he was a baby when we started using these, but he has grown up learning how to tell the entire story of Easter, starting with these eggs. And so what we did with the older ones is the older ones kind of graduated from these, right? But we still use them. So they graduated from being able to go through and mom tells them this story. They graduated to, okay, being able to find, okay, here is the nail. This is what they used for a nail. Somebody find in their Bibles where you can find this part of the Easter story. And so they would go and they would find it in their Bibles. And so what we do with that, we always play this super fun game. Still to this day, my high schoolers, they don't stay home on Good Friday anymore. I give them the choice, but with them being in high school sports, if they miss a day of school, then they're not allowed to play in their sports. So I give them that choice. But the neat thing is they still come home from school that day and they want to do something related to this activity. And so I would say for the last 5 years or so, they know when these robin eggs come out exactly what we're going to be doing. And so we turn it into a game. And so we'll open up a random egg and we'll show what's in it, and the first person to find it in their Bible gets a robin egg. And we're kind of a spicy family, so we absolutely throw robin eggs at each other. It's super fun. But last year, just kind of a neat memory, my son, he was 15 at the time, and he came home from high school, and he had a little girlfriend at the time, and they came over after school, and it was so neat because he really wanted to do the Easter eggs. He was so jealous of the little boys who got to stay home from school that day and do the Easter eggs and all of the activities. And so I remember just such a neat memory, him out on the deck, and I was quizzing him, and I was on the deck and he was in the lawn. Sorry, I've got a timer going off for some reason. And he was in the lawn and I'm throwing candy and he's going everywhere. But I thought, he's even willing to do this in front of a girl that he liked. So I just remember thinking that is so cool. He was kind of showing off. But so that's the first thing, is these they're called resurrection eggs. So nobody's paying me to say anything. This has just been part of our Easter celebration for a long time. But I just remember it being so sweet when the kids, even though they were little, were able to tell the story of Easter because of these eggs. So this is definitely a great thing. I would say from age 2 on up. Like I said, I have an 18 and a 16-year-old that still love it when these come out. So that's definitely a fun thing. So what we do with the little boys is we use the eggs to kind of, they tell us back the story, but then the older ones, sometimes we don't even use the eggs. Maybe we'll just use them for a prompt. And then again, we play trivia, or we'll say, okay, here's the part of the Easter story. Whoever finds it gets 2 robin eggs, and they race to find it in their Bibles. And yeah, it's just a fun activity to do on Good Friday. Some of the other things that we do on Good Friday while the kids are home is we make resurrection biscuits. So I'm not sure if you know what these are, and I wish I had them, but I didn't want to make them before because we're going to do it on Good Friday. But you just get a can of the little refrigerator biscuits, Pillsbury or whatever, and a bag of marshmallows, bigger marshmallows. And it's such a fun activity, especially for kids. I would probably say from the age maybe 3 might be a little young, but definitely with some help. But 3 on up, kids still love them. Like I said, my teenagers still love this stuff. But they're called resurrection biscuits because you take one biscuit and you flatten it out and you wrap it around a marshmallow and you seal it really good so that nothing leaks out. And so you have these dough balls and you put them on a cookie sheet. Make sure you spray your cookie sheet. But you have these dough balls and you bake them just according to the package directions. And what happens, it's so cool, what happens is that marshmallow dissolves inside that biscuit and you're left with the hollow tube. So it's really, and they're super yummy. They're super sweet and sticky, but when you open up that biscuit, it's just hollow. And so being able to talk to the kids and using it as a teaching exercise to explain to them about how, when they opened up the tomb was empty, Jesus has risen. And so making sure to pull your scriptures alongside and really using it as a teaching activity and still having it fun. These things just help them to understand and cement that they can take those memories, and it helps kind of cement the real purpose of Easter. So it's fun when you can combine those. Some of the other things, we always do dye our Easter eggs on that day, just a family activity. A lot of times we'll have a devotion along with it. I'm trying to think of some of the other things. We take a quiet time. Generally it's about an hour quiet time, which is kind of a long time. But in the afternoon, when darkness had come over the earth, we definitely take a quiet time. Everybody goes to their own space and just really reflects on that gift that we've been given and the sacrifice that Jesus has made for us. So Good Friday is really our time that we try to just really focus on the purpose of Easter, so that all of the noisiness just kind of fades away, and we as a family can just really focus on what it is that we're celebrating. And I don't want you to think that we just get these resurrection eggs out on Good Friday. These actually come out on Ash Wednesday, which is the beginning of Lent, and they are out all up through Easter. So, and really the kids just kind of can play with them at their will. But generally about that week before Easter, we really start going through things and preparing them and making sure that they're aware of the story. We just really want to focus on that instead of all of the excess. And so and then on Easter Sunday, we have our big meal, we go to church. Yes, I'm sure there's an Easter egg hunt in there somewhere. That's super fun. But this really allows the kids to stay focused on what it is that we're celebrating and the true purpose of the holiday. So just thought I would share that with you. As moms, we're always wondering, okay, well, how does somebody else do this? And I'm a big proponent of take what you like and leave the rest. Okay, so if you get one great idea from this video, awesome. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it works for your family. But the neat thing is we're all learning, right? And all of us moms are constantly looking for better ways to do things with our kids, and that's why YouTube is so great. We kind of get to pull what we like and leave the rest. So I hope this allows you to maybe come up with some different ideas for your kiddos for Easter. Don't feel bad about pulling them out of school on Good Friday. It's very important. If you're like us, our spring break doesn't start, or actually this year our spring break is before Easter, so they will be off for Good Friday, but this is the first one. So anyways, I hope you guys all have a wonderful Easter. Enjoy your families, and we'll see you next week.